listening to Combat Sports UK.
Combat Sports UK.
UFC 312, it's happening in Sydney, Australia. The card is a bit light at the top. The main card isn't great, as I'm sure we'll break down in a wee minute. But down in the prelims are some absolutely stacked fights. I am joined today by Mr. Dan Evans, who's going to kick us off and tell us who he thinks his fight of the night will be at UFC 312.
I think it's clear to say that the card is weak. Particularly with it being a pay-per-view, and if you look at the other cards around it, UFC Saudi Arabia, that main card is stronger than like this one, even though you've got two title fights on it. But yeah, if you delve into them prelims, you've got plenty of great fights. I think one of them will be Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado, and Jake Matthews,
good fight.
He is, by all means, like I said, I think he's a 20-fight UFC veteran now, and he always stays highly entertaining. Like I said, the losses most recently have come against someone like Michael Morales, and Michael Morales is climbing towards that top 10 ranking at welterweight. So I think Jake Matthews can come into this with a bit of confidence. Like I said, he's coming here as the Anzac fighter against Francisco Prado. Now, Prado had a brilliant fight. I think it was against Zell Huber, and he's always really entertaining. I think of his 3 UFC fights he's had, he's picked up 2 bonuses in them, so he's always down to throw. Now for Jake Matthews, I think it's one of those fights where I picked this one because I think it can go that distance. And like I said, with these fight of the nights, you want to see 2-3, you hopefully want to see all 3 rounds to get the most action in. If it's a quick finish, like I said, you're not picking up your fight of the night. So I think this one can test each other's chins, and I think it could go the full 15 minutes. Like I said, I think Jake Matthews on, being that Anzac fighter, he's going to have the crowd behind him. Like I said, this card is full of young prospects up and coming, because like I said, the actual main stars of that region, you're looking at Kai Kara France, obviously Volkanovski, Taito Ivasa, even though he's on a bit of a skid, aren't featuring on this card. So it's really a great opportunity for someone like Jake Matthews, who is a 20-fight UFC veteran, to really make a name, and he's got the opportunity to pick up things like bonuses, because Taito Ivasa is not on here getting a one round knockout. Kai Kara France isn't getting a crazy fight, at flyweight. So I think it's a good opportunity for Jake Matthews, and Francisco Prado he's a great dance partner for that. So I think that's my pick for fighting that. I believe it's sort of midway through the prelims, probably towards the top, just before it gets the main card.
I think it's actually the main card opener. Just looking at it now.
Oh, is there?
It must have been moved. I don't think it was always the main card opener, was it?
I don't think so, but hey, look, like I said, Matthews versus Prado is an amazing fight. You want something to kick the main card off, so I think this will be a perfect pick for you.
Yes, that is a really good pick, and that will be an entertaining one, as you say, to kick off the main card. I said in the intro that there's loads of great fights in the prelims. Dan has picked the main card opener, and I'm picking the co-main event. I'm going for the female strawweight title fight between Zhang Weili and Tatiana Suarez. When I was looking at this, I was asking myself a question. Obviously, Zhang Weili has been so dominant, especially her last couple of fights. She's looked incredibly impressive. She keeps getting better and better in her second stint as UFC champion. But I was asking myself the question, is this her toughest fight yet? And I think it is, to be honest with you. Tatiana Suarez is unbeaten. She hasn't fought since August in 2023. She is quite inactive. Most of this wasn't due to her own fault. She took 4 years out between 2019 and 2023 with that career-threatening neck injury. But I think stylistically, it's just a really interesting fight. On the feet, I'm not sure what way it goes. I think Zhang Weili will be, she'll try and keep this fight on the feet, which isn't like her as well, but she might have the advantage. Tatiana Suarez does have very good kicking, but Tatiana Suarez's game is all about her wrestling. It's all about her ground game, and it's not very often we see Zhang Weili up against it on the grappling side of things. Usually she does have the upper hand. It's an interesting one. Yeah, and even looking at the feet as well, I was going back and watching Zhang Weili, and Yan Jinan, she had a lot of success in the early rounds against Zhang Weili. She even dropped her in round 3. Most people will be picking Zhang Weili here, I think, because of how dominant she's been. But I just think Tatiana Suarez, she's unbeaten. She's faced a hell of a lot of adversity in her life. She even got over cancer when she was younger. And obviously the career-threatening injuries a couple of times. Yeah. She's worked very hard, even just to get to a stage. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth brawl. I think they're both going to win rounds out each other. I think it's going to be very close. And I think it's going to be a decision, which is why I've chosen it to be fight of the night. These female fights, especially the title fights of late, they do usually go to a decision. And I don't think this will be any different. But I think we're going to see 5 rounds of really, really good action. That's 2 good picks for the fights of the night bonuses. I wonder who will be getting those sweet 50Ks. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on to the performance of the night. Who have you got for this one, Dan?
So I've gone for one of those prospects that I did mention. In the prelims, you will have a certain relation to a featherweight champion, but I picked the lightweight Queen Salkeld, I believe is the name. And like I said, I've done a little bit of research, tried to find the pronunciations roughly. All right, but he's 7-1, and like I said, I think he's one of the best prospects coming out of Australia. Now he burst onto the UFC scene with a Contender Series win in September last year against a really good, tough prospect, I believe, in Gage Young, who was an American prospect. He was about 8-1 in that fight as well. So that was a really, really close contested fight. It did get to a decision, so he showed there. Like I said, he's not just a finisher. He's 7-1. Like I said, of those 7 wins, 5 are victories, 2 wins by knockout, and then 3 submissions. He has got a really, really elite grappling game, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it is really, really tricky. If he gets that neck, it's like Charles Oliveira. It's very much it's good night. You might as well be calling the fight there. So I think he's a real, really promising threat, and he's 6 foot tall. Like I said, 6 foot lightweight. That's something to really behold. So, like I said, he's not
Jalen Turner numbers.
I was going to say, yeah, he's not quite Jalen Turner, but yeah, 6 foot lightweight. He's really, really going to be a great contender for the years to come. He's fighting Anshul Jubli, the Indian fighter. Now he had a couple of fights from Road to UFC. He was on the way up, and from memory, his last fight was against Mike Breeden. Now in that fight, Mike Breeden was barking at him at stage in the very, very last round. So it was a real odd one. And to be honest with you, I think we not say he shit the bed, but it was a bit like what's going on here, and he ended up getting finished. So I think it's sort of it really bodes well for Salkeld. Now I had a look at a couple of interviews he was doing talking about that Contender Series fight. Now he said the Contender Series fight, there were a couple of things that were a bit weird for him. Now he found fighting in front of no one, in front of no crowd. Like I said, with Contender Series, those doors burst open, and it's Dana White, 3 other people, just silence, just waiting for you. And he said that was a bit weird. So like I said, I think look at this coming fight now at UFC 312, packed arena. It's all a great factor for him. You also mentioned that 14-hour time zone difference was a bit difficult for him. Like I said, by all means, he got through it and won in great fashion. But again, hey, look, if you can fight on your own time zone, I think it's going to make a world difference. So I think I'm really picking him to stand out. I think you're looking at probably a round 1 finish for him, whether it's in the grappling or on the feet. I think he can get it done and get it done quickly and impressively. So I think, yeah, it's going to be a great night for him. 50K on his UFC debut. Brilliant start.
That's a good pick. And you've went for someone quite similar to mine, similar style record, someone that's won on the Dana White Contender Series Season 8 and is making their UFC debut. I've went deep into the prelims as well. I think the performance of the night at UFC 312 will go to Cody Steele. Cody Steele is a man. He's 7-0 on his record, 5 finishes in the lightweight division. He trains out of Syndicate MMA as well. So he's taking on Rongzhu. Rongzhu's a very interesting fighter. He's had 31 fights for the age of 24, like 25-6 at the age of 24. That is an incredible record, but it's also a lot of miles on the clock as well for that age. Looking at Steele's Dana White Contender Series fight, you would think he is a really good striker, very, very powerful hands, very forward pressure. He puts a hell of a lot of forward pressure on, and it's constant pressure as well. He likes to rip to the body, go upstairs. But the thing is, he's predominantly not actually a striker. When you go and look at his Tapology, the amount of grappling matches this guy has had is out of this world. He has a whole different side to his game that we didn't see in the Contender Series, and I was mightily impressed with that performance. And even looking at his earlier pro fights as well, he does a hell of a lot of striking in his MMA fights, but he's got this whole ground game that he hasn't really called upon too much. He has got finishes on the ground, but with the amount of grappling competitions he's done and how high level of a grappler he is, he's happy to stand and bang. I think he goes out there in his UFC debut. He's not going to be happy just drifting the decision win, he will go looking for that finish, and I think he'll get it. He got it in round 2 at Dana White's Contender Series. I think he gets it in round 1 here. I don't think Rong Zhu is at his level. I think he's got too many miles on the clock compared to the young American who is 7-0, and that is who I think will get performance of the night. There's some big prospects on this card. It was actually it was hard picking one out, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. Like I said, I thought you were going for the one man I think everyone expected us to go for, which was Taporia's brother. Now, I think we can all expect something special from him, but he may feature in one of our other videos in the build up to the card.
He's a tough fight, but doesn't he? Is a tough fight, but we're going to do a video, a different series that we've started, and it's called Sleeper Fights, and it's pretty much where me and Dan looks at the full card and we pick a fight that no one's really talking about, a fight that goes under the radar, and just a wee hint, we might be talking about Taporia's brother and a certain Cody Haddon in that video. Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Bonus Predictions. Make sure and check out our other videos. As I said, we have the Sleeper Fights video coming out, and we also have our picks video. So to find out who me and Dan is picking, we might have gave it away there. I know I gave my strawweight title fight away, my prediction for it, but go and watch it for the rest of our picks anyway. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next video.